Hi there and welcome to another PSDTUTS spoon-fed Photoshop tutorial. I'm Gavin Steele and I'm going to be taking you through Constantine's creating a touching story scene in Photoshop. So let's have a look at our final image. Okay, here we have it. We've got a really cool sky in the background here. We've got a model like giving her soul, as described as in the tutorial, to this bird on the left hand side. Some great brushes used there. We've got this cool little rocky landscape with this really green grass and this cool waterfall coming down our image. And over to the right, we've got a little tree with some flowers blossoming. So make sure you check out all the steps over the tutorial. You can see they're all there in lots and lots of lovely detail. And as with all the tutorials over on the site, there's a lot of detail if you read through them about techniques used, why they were used over other ones, and also credits given to a lot of the images that are used. So make sure you do check out all of the links to get all the files. I've got them open up here at the top. So if we just quickly go through them. Landscape, sky, the bird, and the model, and blossoms, brushes and the vines and so on. So make sure you check out all of those links and check out all of the other cool photos they got in their galleries. Some really great stuff. So we're going to start with this tutorial, so make sure you load up Photoshop. This is what I managed to get through a little bit earlier, so this is the kind of thing that we're going to be creating. Okay, just trying to tell a story using all of these clips. And again, you can use other tutorials to maybe make it a darker scene or something like that, but this is the kind of image that we're going to be trying to create today. So the first thing that we need to do is close this down. Just going to quickly save this. And then we'll close that down. So the first image we're going to use is our background image. So I'm going to grab that. Okay, it's nice and big. Okay, I'm just using my Wacom tablet today, so you might pick that up on the sound. Let's just zoom out. Okay, so here's our background image, and we're going to start right on this image. So let's just Alt double click on that layer, get rid of our background layer, but we can still call it background. Okay, so once you've done that and you've got rid of the background layer lock, we're going to start playing around with this image. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to the channels. We're going to select the blue channel, this one here, it's one with the deepest contrast, and then we're going to play around with the curves on this channel. So if you can hit Control M on the keyboard, you'll get your curves panel like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring this right across down here to about 83, and we're going to bring this one across the top to about 160, something like that. And I'll just move this out of the way and we can see the kind of effect that we're getting. Okay, so once you've got it looking like this, just click on OK. And what we have now is we have a better separation of our sky, which is all in white, and our actual landmass, which is in black. And we want to start cutting this out. So the easiest way to do that is if we just fill this area in with black. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to path out of the land, and then we're going to fill it in. So hit P for the pen tool. I'm just going to use my navigator, which is just off the screen, just to zoom in. And then we're going to come in over the top down here. So we can just start, we're just making sure we're going over these little white dots. You don't have to be too precise. And just use spacebar to move around the canvas. We'll just try and get as many of these white spots as possible. And don't worry about this rock here because we're gonna cut it out anyway later. So actually, let's just get it for now, just in case. You might want to leave that in, but I'll show you how we're going to cut this out later. And again, just trying to get as many of these little white spots inside our path. And there are a number of different selection techniques that have been used over on the site. You might just want to take the time to cut it all out yourself with the pen, or you might want to use the channels, maybe use more adjustment layers on the channels. But in this particular tutorial, this is what we're doing. I'm just going to zoom out with my navigator, excuse me, and just come all the way around. And then back to where we started. Okay, once you've done that, we can right click inside and we can make a selection. Don't have any feather radius, click on OK. Make sure you've got a number in that, 0. Okay, and once you've done that, we're going to head over to the bucket tool, select black, and we're on a blue layer, and we're just going to fill that all in until we get black. And if I zoom out, you can see it's all black. And if we control deselect and then zoom back in, there are only 1 or 2 little white spots here and there that if we just quickly grab the brush tool, increase the hardness to 100%, we can just get rid of like so. I hope that scratching doesn't get too annoying with the Wacom, but it's all I've got. Two of my masters broke, so just using this for today. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, so let's zoom back out. Now I've got this layer up here, we've got this area up here in the top left hand corner, and it's slightly grey. We want to make that white. So nice big brush, and we're just going to make that all a very nice white, and the same over here. And then we've got this little grey area down the bottom left, and again, using the pen tool, we're going to get rid of that area, we're going to fill that as well. So first thing we need to do is zoom straight into that area, grab the pen tool, P on the keyboard, and let's start over here. And then I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. Right over the top of the trees, and we're going to use a brush in a minute just to clear that area up. So I'm just doing this really roughly. And again, make that a selection, and we're going to fill it with white. Okay, and again, let's zoom out. Let's have a look at that. Yep, that's pretty good. Okay, so once you've used the pencil, you've gone around all the edges, you fill the black areas in with black, and obviously the white areas in with white. We're going to command click on our blue area. It's going to select, on our blue channel, it's going to select our white pixels. We're going to come back to RGB, come over to our layers panel, and then just hit the delete key. Then we can command deselect, and we've got a pretty good cutout of our, of our land there. And again, if I zoom in, yeah, it's a pretty nice selection of our trees and everything else. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So let's zoom back out. Let's have a look from a bit of distance. Okay, that looks pretty good. And we've got our background layer. So the next thing that we need to do is we're going to start playing around with some of the rocks, some of the colors, just to start to change things. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is I'm going to go to layer, new layer mask, reveal all, and then I'm going to go to, in fact, I'm not going to do that. That's a mistake. That's my previous thing. Okay, let's have a quick look at my notes. Okay, so we're going to delete this rock that I talked about earlier. So I'm going to zoom in again, grab the pen tool, and we're just going to go around it. Once you get clear of these twigs, you can just come straight over the top, and then think about the path that you want to follow down. You can see it actually follows quite a nice path down here, like so. And this one we can just right click, make a selection, and delete it. And that's where our model's going to stand and come out from the rocks. Next thing we're going to do is, after we've done that, we've deleted the rock, we're going to move the background down about 200 pixels. So again, just going to use my navigator on the left hand side, hit V on the keyboard, move tool, and I'm just going to move it down. I'm going to use this little bush over here as an indicator. So if we just zoom in, yep, that looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more. Okay, so that's going to be the base of our image. Once you've finished around the background image, we're going to right click on the layer, and we're going to convert that to a smart object. Now the great thing about smart objects is if you want to change anything, we can double click back on that, change the original, but it just saves on file space. So they're really great little tools to use. So throughout this tutorial, there's going to be a lot of layer adjustments that we're going to be adding, and we're going to start adding our first one now. Head up to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and the first one we're going to create is a brightness and contrast layer. Going to click on OK, and we're going to set it to a brightness of 10, and the contrast is going to be 38. And click on OK. Then we're going to add a photo filter. So again, Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and we're going to come down to Photo Filter, and we're going to click on OK. We're going to select the color, and the color we're going to use is going to be 9B1DEA. Click on OK, and then density you can leave at 25%, and again click on OK. Now we're going to go to the third one, which is Layer, New Layer Adjustment Layer, and we're going to use, where are you? Color balance. Sorry, there it is, right at the top. And this time we're going to make sure that we check use previous layer to create a clipping mask. and click on OK. Okay, then we're going to start with our shadows, and we're going to set that to -20, +19, -5. We're going to come over to midtones, and we're going to set our midtones to -15, 51, -6, and our highlights we're going to set to -5, 43, and 24. And then we're going to click on OK. And you can see it makes everything this lovely green color. So make sure you selected to have that set as a clipping mask. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill the mask layer here with black. Okay. And then we're going to use a white soft brush to go over the grass area. So head over to your brush tool, bring the hardness right down, select white, and we're going to zoom in. Okay, and be careful of these rocks. We don't want to apply this effect to the rocks, but if you just come around it, you can see that we can start to get this really nice green grass coming through. So just give me a couple of seconds and I'm going to just go around everything here. Again, just adjusting the brush size as I go. So what I've just done is I've gone ahead and I've coloured or filled in that area of our mask with white. So I'm only revealing the area that's in white on our mask with this bright green. I've left out these rocks on purpose because we're going to apply some layer styles to these rocks. But it's just a nice quick way of doing that. So the next thing that we need to do is we're going to do some colour balance again, but this time to our rocks. So head up to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and let's hit our colour balance again. Click OK, and this time we're going to set our midtones to 54, 27, and -38, and then our highlights we're going to set to 0, 0, -52. Click on OK, and then with this one we're going to use a black brush, and we're going to paint over the area. So grab our black brush, okay, and this time we're going to paint over the grass and leave our rocks this really bright colour. So let's just zoom in and see how that's going to look. So that's going to stay that colour, but the grass is too green and too bright, so just going to come around. Like so. And we're just going to slowly mask out. Let's increase our brush size so we can get rid of most of it. But like I said, we want it to be applied to the rest of the image. Okay, so I'm just going to go around the whole image, painting over the grass and leaving the rocks alone so they stay that brighter colour. And again, you can have a look at the layer mask over here, and you can see this tiny little white little dots. That's each of these rocks. So only the rocks are going to be affected by the adjustment layer that we've applied to our image. And again, only the grass is going to be affected by the adjustment layer for the previous adjustment layer we created. Now, down the bottom right, we've got this grass down here. It's a little bit too yellow. So we're going to go back up to layer. We're going to do a new adjustment layer and another color balance. And we're going to click on OK. We're going to set our shadows to -20, +9, -19. We're going to come to our midtones and we're going to set them to 3, 92 and 44, and then select on OK. We're going to fill the whole of that area, the whole of this mask, with black, and then we're going to grab our brush tool again and we're going to select a white, and then with a big soft brush we're going to go over this grassy area down here just really lightly, just go over. We're just going to make that a little bit greener, like so. So it's just not yellow, it's a nice greeny colour, kind of blends in with the grass that we created earlier. Okay, so once you've done that, we're going to go back up to our layer adjustment layer. Again, we're going to go back to color balance, and this time we're going to set our midtones to be 2, -8 and -52, and we're going to set our highlights to be 0, 0, -38, and we're going to click on OK. We're going to fill that with black. Again, make sure you're inside the layer mask, and then we're going to grab a white brush, move over to this tree on the right hand side, which you can't quite see, so I'm just going to zoom in and move over. I'm just going to move the canvas over like so. And if we come down, we can see we've got this like greeny kind of color down here. So again, what we can do is we can just brush over this area down here. Like so. Okay, once we've got all of those together, stick them into a group, and we can name that group just adjustments like so. Let's move our canvas back over and zoom out. Okay, it's starting to take shape, it's starting to look pretty good. So the next thing that we need to do is, after we've grouped them all together, is we're going to go to a layer mask. So we're going to command click or control click on a PC on this layer, and then we're going to select our group. We're going to go to layer, layer mask, and then we're going to go to reveal selection, and it's going to apply a layer mask to that landmass we cut out earlier, and it's going to apply all those layer styles, all that color balance, just to that area. So when we start to add stuff to the top area here, it's not going to be affected by those adjustment modes or adjustment layers. So the next thing we need to do is work on our sky. So you need to load up your sky image. I've got one here, and using the rectangle marquee tool, I've just selected the sky. Press V on the keyboard. I'm going to drag it straight into our canvas. Minimize that one back down just in case we need it again. And again, I'm just going to position it like so. and we're going to bring it right down below our background layer. And you can see we've got this area down here. It doesn't quite, it doesn't quite fill fully. If we stretch that, it's going to look really bad. So we're going to have to use the clone tool and the healing tool, and we're going to start cloning this area here and trying to bring it down to the bottom. Try and make it look as realistic as possible. So just clicking on Alt on the different areas you want to use. And then if we come over to our heal tool, you can just heal that just a little bit, like so. And that looks pretty good, it ties in pretty well. And don't forget we've got this area over here to the right. And again, grab your clone tool. And because it's hidden by the trees, you can just grab anything, but just try and make it look like the sky's breaking through the tree there. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to quickly grab this area here. I'm not quite happy with this. Looks better. Brilliant, that's it. So we've got our sky in place. And again, once you've moved it into place and you've cloned it out or healed it out, make sure you name that layer sky. Okay, and we're going to head up to layer, new adjustment layer, and again we're going to go back to our friend color balance, which we're going to be using a lot. And again we're going to use previous layer to create a clipping mask. Click on OK, and we're going to start with our shadows. So start with -13, -12, and 6. Head over to midtones. We're going to set our midtones to -20, 30, and 69. Highlights, just going to set them to -15, 5, and -26. Excuse me. And click on OK. Then we're going to go back, layer, new adjustment layer, brightness and contrast. And again, use the previous layer, click on OK. We're going to set this to 15 by 28. Click on OK. And then we're going to select, excuse me, I can't quite clear my throat. So we're going to select our sky layer and these are the two adjustment layers, and we're going to stick them into a group. And we can call this group Sky. Okay, next thing we need to do is we need to create a new layer above our background layer, and we're going to fill that with black. We're going to convert this into a smart object. Then we're going to go to filter, render, lens flare. Let's bring that over. I've got it set to 100% brightness, 50 to 300mm zoom. Down in the bottom left area down here is pretty good. Might just bring it over just a bit. Click on OK. And then I'm going to change that to color dodge and reduce it down to about 80%. I'm just going to call that flare. Okay, it looks pretty good. Now you might not want these little bubbles or these extra flares over the top right, so we can click on our little mask area here, grab our brush, nice big brush, and we can just paint them out. Okay, because we're going to have a model over here, so we don't really want anything around here, and we don't want it to be coming over the rock. we just want a hint of it in this bottom left area down here, kind of like the sun in the distance or something like that. And then once you've done that, we're going to leave that on its own. We're not going to put that into a group. You could do. We're going to bring in our model. So if you've got a PSDTuts Plus account, you can get the model already cut out for you, or you can play around cutting it out yourself, and you should get something that looks like this. Okay, and we're just going to extend the hair a little bit, play around with some of the cool tricks and tools of the trade with the hair. So we're going to go up to Filter, Liquify, and then we're going to set this to about a size, I'd say between 38 and 40, 100 for density, 100 for pressure. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to use the forward tool, this one right here, forward warp tool, and we're just going to warp some of this hair down here. Might just grab. Okay, and we're just creating a bit, a bit more to play with down here. We're going to use some of the burn tools, smudge tool, and so on to make this look more like hair. But we're just bringing some of these colors, we're just stretching them down towards the hands, and then we're going to click on OK. And then, like I said, the tools that we're going to use, the first one we're going to use is the smudge tool. So head over to the smudge tool. Okay, and we're going to set that to have about 35 pixels. 55% for the strength, and we're just going to smooth that out. Don't want too many of the dark colors. Oh, don't want any of that blue either. Okay, that looks pretty good. Then what we're going to do is we're going to select the dodge tool, and we're going to set that to about 70 pixels. And then we're going to hit 15% for the exposure. We're going to make sure that all looks pretty good. Okay, and we can use the Alt button to change between the dodge tool and the burn tool. But we're going to start with the dodge tool. We're just going to stroke away at the hair like so. In fact, let's undo some of that. We're going to target the lighter areas on the hair. So these areas down here, just going to lighten them up. And then darken these darker areas by holding down Alt on the keyboard. Okay, now what we're going to do is exactly the same again. We're going to reduce our pixels right down to 3 pixels. And again, holding down the Alt key, we're using the light and the dark, and we're going to start playing around so it's going to start to look now like hair. So every now and again, just pressing Alt down for the darker strands, don't worry if you can't see anything just yet. I'll have to zoom in a second, but okay, increase the size of the brush, just one little pixel. Get some thicker strands coming through. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just going to zoom in just to show you that it does actually look a little bit like hair now, which is good. And obviously I'm getting these horrible ends down here, so I'm just going to grab the eraser tool. I'm just going to cut that back. Like so. Grab my smudge tool again. Bring it right down. Just give ourselves the ends. And again, back to our dodge tool. And dodge tool just basically means we get some nice dark hairs in with the light hairs, and that looks pretty good. Okay, let's zoom out. Let's have a look. You might want to make the hair a little bit longer. It's up to you, but I'm pretty happy with that. And as it's already cut out, we can just grab the V tool and we can move this straight onto our image. And again, I'm just going to minimize this out of the way. And we're going to place this behind all our other layers. We're going to transform it. Let's scale it right down. Move that over. Again, still too big. About 15% looks pretty good. Going to rotate it. And then we're going to try and fill this gap here where we had that rock previously. So it should just fit just nicely like that. And let's just bring it down just a little bit. Just going to rotate it slightly. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just nudge her over and then hit enter. She's in place. Okay, so once she's in place, we're going to convert her to a smart object. So again, right click on the layer, convert to smart object. Again, if you want to go back and make any changes. And obviously she's all in place. We positioned her, and make sure she's directly below your background layer. Okay, we're going to go over and we're going to add 2 adjustment layers. So layer, new adjustment layer. First one we're going to do is our brightness and contrast. Make sure you check use previous layer to create clipping mask. Click on OK. We're going to set that to 16 by 35. Click on OK. And then the second one is layer, new adjustment layer, and color balance. And click on OK. And this time we're going to do midtones, set to -34. Oops, excuse me. We're going to do 10 and then -5. We're going to set our highlights to -2, -5, and -19. Click on OK. And then we're going to group all of these together, stick them in a folder, and we're going to call it model. And then hit OK. We're going to grab some vines now. So they're over on in the tutorial. I should have some already downloaded somewhere. Yep. Here they are. Okay, and the link gives them to you in a PNG format, which is brilliant because they're already cut out for you. Again, we can just move them straight on. transform them. Let's reduce them down to about 20. It's not going to be still too big. 15 looks pretty good. Hit enter. And we're going to make them look like they're coming up her dress. So some of them are going to be above our model layer and some of them are going to be below. Okay, so just peeking out. If you hold down Alt on the keyboard and click and drag, you can start to move them like so. And again, just move it to the side, move it above the layer. I'm going to bring this one onto her dress and then just nudge it into place. Zoom in. Just going to turn off auto select layers just so I don't move any of the other ones. Okay, it looks pretty good. Okay, so once you've got your vines in place, let's zoom out, and you free transform them, you can just group the ones that are above her into a folder. Maybe vines above, a couple below, and this is just to keep organized. Vines below. Okay. Moving on to the last stretch now. The next thing we need to do is we need to add our bird. And again, you'll have to cut out your bird from the background image. I've done mine pretty roughly, but it doesn't matter too much. Okay, I put it onto its own layer over here, and I'm just going to drag that straight on. And let's move that above. It's a little bit big, so I'm just going to transform that down. Like so. And I'm going to position it just a little bit to the left like so. We're going to create some mist and some kind of mythical element that's coming from her chest to the bird, like her soul is this white bird or something like that. So let's close that down. So with our bird layer cut out and moved into place, we're going to go to Layer Mask, Reveal All. We're going to grab our brush tool with black selected, about 45 pixels, something like that. That looks pretty good. And we're just going to try and make this wing look a little bit transparent. So bring the opacity right down, 25%, something like that. I'm just going to come over this left wing like so. Oop. Just to kind of add to the movement of the actual wing itself. So we're just going to make it a little bit transparent. Then we're going to go back up to Layer, New Adjustment Layer. We're going to go to Brightness and Contrast. Make sure you got clipping set. And again, we're going to set that to 16 by 52. Click on OK. And let's group these guys together as well. Bird. Okay, so you need to download the brush set now. And with the brush set downloaded, I'll just show you where they are on mine. Let's make the thumbnails a little bit bigger. Okay, so they're all down here. So let's choose one. This one here. And I'm going to create a new layer. Let's reduce the size of that brush. Make sure it's set to white. Okay, looks pretty good. Let's increase the opacity. Let's try it at 100%. Okay, it looks pretty good. So it's starting over here and it's moving to the left. Let's grab a different brush now. and again reduce it in size. Okay, so there's kind of a connection now between the bird and the model. Like so. And we can mask out, a quick mask for this layer. Oh. Just so that we only have it going between the wings. So this should all be nice and crisp. Let's make sure we don't take off his beak there. Okay, so obviously kind of looks like our bird is meeting our model and she's passing something from her soul to the bird and it's coming through the wings. That looks pretty good. We can create some more mist in this bottom left hand corner down here. I'm just going to create a new layer for that, and again using our brushes we can just add that in like so. And again, just maybe play around with the opacity, position of that. And again, we could even mask that. Okay, that looks pretty good. So it's just coming over the hills as kind of mist, and this image is going on over here, and it's passing the soul from the model to the bird. Okay, next thing that we need to look at is creating a new layer right beneath our background layer. So let's stick it in there, and in fact let's not do that, let's delete that layer and let's bring our mist layer underneath our background layer. I didn't like it just coming over the edge there. I want the mist to be something that's going on a little bit further away. Okay, next thing that we need to do is grab some flowers, and we're going to stick these flowers onto our tree over here. So here's the flower image from the links. I've selected a flower I like here. Just going to, with the move tool, bring it onto our document, and I'm just going to position it right up at the top. Come on. Nope. Okay, and again I'm just going to zoom in. And we're just going to position this over these. Let me bring this right to the very top. Okay. So, oh, that's not moved. There we go. So I can scale it down just a little bit. Get it looking like it's meant to be sat. I don't know, off this little twig here. And again, with the eraser tool, nice and small, soft brush, we can get rid of some of this bluiness. You can play around with channels and get rid of some of that. But I just want to just go around the edges. And again, I can press V, hold down Alt, just drag a new one. me position this one over here. Let's zoom out and have a look. How they look. So they're the last kind of 2 or 3 if you want to put more on their flowers left on the tree. And let's minimize that. They just add to the overall look of the image. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab in some water. So again, you can drag the whole image straight in. Position it like so. Grab the eraser tool, or we can do layer mask, reveal all, grab the brush tool, make it a nice soft brush. And we can just start brushing away the bits that we don't want. Like so. Okay, looks pretty good. Zoom in. Just try and follow to land a little bit here. Don't worry about this bottom bit, we're going to cover that with rocks in a second. This top bit we can get rid of. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's a little bit more on the edge around here. Reduce the size of your brush to get into these little bits. But yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, and then zoom out. Yeah, I'm happy with that area. That looks really, really nice. So you've got your water in there and you've cut it away. We're going to play around with some curves now. So we're going to go to New Adjustment Layer, Curves. We're going to grab, make sure it's set to Mask. We're going to grab Green first. And we're going to make green just bow out and then come back in just a little bit like that. Blue, and blue is just going to bow a little bit like that. So let's have a look at how it looks. Let's go back to green and just see if we can. Okay, it looks pretty good. And then blue. Okay, yeah, looks pretty good. Click on OK. So if I bring that back up, just so I can show you what we ended up with. Just always looking at the image and the colours itself, just playing around with each of these until you get something that you're happy with. Okay, and just always looking at the image, seeing if it fits in, if the colour's starting to match and so on. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go back up to New Layer Adjustment, Colour Balance again. and make sure you use the clipping mask. We're going to set this to 36, 51, minus 37. We're going to set the highlights 13, 8, minus 8. And then click on OK. We're going to select our background layer. And there it is. And then we're going to cut some of the rocks out of our background layer and we're going to bring them down here. So grab the pen tool and just roughly, I don't know, grab a big one here. Make it a selection. Come to the very top. Let's create a new layer. Let's copy that and paste it. And then let's bring it down like so. I don't know, like that. I'm going to alt click, drag it to the right. Transform it round. Okay, looks pretty good. Pen tool. Back down to a background layer. Maybe grab this rock here. Again, let's turn that into selection. Command C to copy it. New layer at the top, paste it, and let's move it down like so. Maybe move it underneath these layers. Okay, and let's hit enter. And again, you can play around with the water maybe flowing over the top of these and down the image, but I don't know, it kind of adds a bit of depth to the image. So I'm just going to leave that alone for now. And then we're going to select our sky layer, which we created right at the beginning. We're going to go to Filter, Noise, Reduce Noise, and we're going to set it so it's 10, 14, 36, 3. Click on OK. It's going to apply that filter, and then we're going to go to Filter, Sharpen, and Sharpen. And that is it. That's the tutorial. So I hope you like it. Some really great little tips on using the brushes. Some great ways of bringing out the green in the grass, applying the waterfall, and all that kind of stuff. It's a great little tutorial by Constantin. I hope you can apply it to your projects, and I hope you enjoy the tutorials. I've been Gavin Steele, taking you through PSD Tuts, creating a touching story scene in Photoshop. Thanks very much.